my name is Maria Cotter. For those of you who do not know me, this video is for you. I wanted to record this video to make it so that I can explain or tell you where I come from and how did I come up with the design for the Maria's Divination Oracle deck. I was born actually in a pretty interesting environment. I was born in southwestern Siberia. I was born with clairvoyant and clairsentient abilities, which obviously I didn't know the definitions back then. I just do know that I have those abilities. So clairvoyant, it is meaning having a gift of sight, meaning that someone can see with a third eye, which is your pineal gland. And this kind of information comes in terms of the images, which are shown in the mind's eye. That is different than imagination. That is different than some of the dreams. Also, some dreams can be part of the clairvoyant side and could be a really good source of receiving psychic information. The one that I was born with, which is clairsentient, or being an empathic, feeling other people's emotions. Clairsentient or sentient is not only I can feel people's energies, emotions. So emotion is energy in motion. I feel it, I sense it, I recognize that part of energy or emotion in a person. Another side of it is feeling the physical sensations in people's bodies. For an example, if somebody has a headache, I would register that that person does have a headache. I could possibly feel what those people are feeling with a headache or any other kind of aches. However, the older I grew, the more I learned, the more I became able to filter and sort out those feelings so that I know which ones are mine and which one are not mine. So one of my earliest memories, I would say, of real premonition that was a shocking experiences to me happened in my later childhood, not in my early, but in my later. We did lose a pet, a cat, and that was really highly emotionally charged time for our whole family. And I do recall standing really being sad about what had happened, and I was crying. I was standing by the window. I remember it all. And all of a sudden, I did have this moment where my eyes got shut. And I don't know what happened, but I had started seeing images of an event that happened later after that. That was pretty shocking. I saw people, I saw them what they had said, I heard what they said, and exactly the same thing had happened later on. First, another interesting thing that had happened to me as I was growing up, and what I realized that I have memories of my mom. Now that some people say that we can read other people, but I did know that that was a memory because it felt like they were my memories, like your memory, like you know your memories, you recognize your memories, you know what the memory is. There is nobody can tell you what your memory is because you just know, you don't think about it, you know this is the memory. So those visions, I had visions, have felt like a memory, and I instantaneously knew they were memories, but I also knew there was this clear sense of knowing that they were not my memories, they were my mother's memories. And I told her in details what I had seen, what had happened. One of them is memories from her that happened when she was a child and she was visiting her mother's, my grandmother's place of work. And I described to detail. She was shocked that I told her about that memory. That really also left me wondering what is going on. And I was naturally always drawn to different kinds of topics like divinations, how to read on a coffee, how to read mostly coffee, not the tea leaves, but I really enjoyed reading the coffee. the palmistry, card reading. I really read far and wide all of the divination methods. I was super excited. Some of the books made it with me here, and I do have them. I have a whole pile of these books here. And that's a huge encyclopedia of different divination methods, and I studied them all, loved it. The runes, everything. I would wake up making coffee in the mornings once I was in college or high school, probably mostly college. And every morning it was my ritual. I woke up before the whole family did, and I would go in the kitchen silently, make my coffee, drink it. I would turn it backwards, and then I would open the cup when it's done. And I look at the images and I knew where my day is going to bring me. I was fascinated. The reason why I'm doing this and created this oracle deck is that I was growing up with my grandmother, with my mother's mom. And one point, I don't know when, she pulled out a deck of simple playing cards and she showed it to me and she asked me, would you like to have a reading? And I was like, yes, what is that? So she shuffled the card, she did the ritual, she made me sit on the deck because that's how you do charge it if you like. That's how you do put your energy into the deck, how you connect with the deck. And then she would shuffle it and she would lay out in a spread and she would give me a reading. I was fascinated. I've learned in no time, I've learned that method. I've learned the definitions of the card. Although the learned part is a very interesting word, or even learn the spread, I felt more as if I remembered it was inside of me already. And I kind of just know the meaning of the cards. And when they fall into spread, I can just see the picture of what is happening. I don't like instantaneously without reading each card and understanding the meaning of each card and each position. I kind of just knew. Growing up in Siberia was interesting. It wasn't uncommon to do definitions. In fact, Christmas time, which is January 7th, an epic time to do definitions. The majority of the time, we would stay up until midnight. We would do different types of divinations. And at that age, of course, we were curious about who we're going to get married. What is the future going to be like? And so forth. Fascinating. Loved growing up there. We didn't question, like, is this real stuff? Is it not? It was just part of our culture, the part of our traditions. We would make wishes. The same way that I had learned later on is the way to cast a spell or set your manifestation, more in a scientific kind of adapted ways that I had studied here in the United States. We were born with that. We just from generations to generations, we were born and following those traditions. One of the things that I remember as well, and I'm still doing it since childhood, is spending time in nature. I was drawn to nature, reading energy from the nature, picking up energy from the nature, playfulness in the nature. And I'm talking about the wild nature, the one that is ungroomed by humans, untouched by humans, which would be wild woods, or even I grew up in the city. Growing up in the city, we didn't have the wild woods, but we did have a small spaces where things would grow wildly, and those were my favorites, and that's where I would go and find connection with the nature. So after I finished school and graduated college, I did move to United States and I settled in here. And my life went on. I was busy working. I was busy with the family and the friends, and things were happening. And there was a lot to explore. There was a lot to adapt to. I did put on hold spiritual growth and exploration. I did continue to use the cards as the divination method, as what my grandmother had taught me. I brought a deck with me and I used it for any kind of events when I needed to seek clarity, when I needed to look in the situation a little closer. I definitely used the cards and always went for them. Later on, sometime around 2006, which is interesting here, because that's when my grandfather passed away. And as the tradition goes, the people of power in family, meaning of power, those who do have gifts and spiritual abilities that are inherited, once the person, the carrier, and usually it is in between generations. So that'll be grandfather and granddaughter, for an example. So like skipping over generations. And once those people in power pass, they do the energy and their power do transition to the next person of inheritance. I didn't know those kind of things. I wasn't taught about that specifically, but I do know that that was the year when I went back into searching and exploring and deep diving into supernatural kind of subjects. I was restless. I needed to learn. I needed to know. And somehow Laurie Cabot came across. And for those of you who don't know who Laurie Cabot is, you can Google her, or I can leave a link in the description box below. She is an official witch of Salem. She still does classes. She's still teaching, actually. To date, she is teaching. And you can look it up if you're interested. I did sign up for her class. She usually does 3 courses, 3 series. First would be Witchcraft as a Science. Second one is Witchcraft as an Art. And the third one, which takes a year and a day, is the Witchcraft as a Religion. After the first class, when she taught the students, she taught me how those abilities, the sight, the healing energy, how it works from perspective of science. That was such a tada moment for me to understand how this is happening, what is happening, what is going on. And at the end of the class, we did a healing session. We've learned what colors of light, how to send it, how to bring a person to your mind screen. And I've seen every person. We had 3 healing cases, as if it was a hologram in front of me. I was just so mind blown about the whole experience. I loved how the science was explaining to me the supernatural events, which Laurie would tell you there is no such thing as supernatural. Those are natural events. Just because we don't really talk much about it, or we don't explain it from a scientific point of view as much, it doesn't mean those events are supernatural. That's what she would tell us. Since that time, there's a lot involved and grown, and the quantum physics do talk about invisible all the time. I'm fascinated with that subject. I ended up finishing all 3 courses, but not being initiated in the tradition. I did not get initiated in the Cabot's tradition, but I ended up being a 3rd degree priestess. I have learned so much from Laurie and everyone who worked with her. It was an absolutely amazing experience. And to this day, I am using those skills. For those of you who are afraid of the word witch and afraid of the witchcraft, you should know Laurie taught us about the 3-fold law, which simply means anything you put out comes back to you 3 times. So absolutely no reason you would want to go and do any harm. There are so many other methods and techniques to use, and they are in alignment with other methods like Course in Miracles or kinds of manifestation courses that are so wildly available on the market right now, they also are aligned with this tradition of witchcraft. Now, I do know that in Europe, to date, it is so popular to cast a spell to attract a particular person to someone who really wants to be with that person. That is so bad. That is so wrong on so many levels. That never ends well, even though it might seem that that person is in love with you for some time. It ends up ending. At the end of the day, this relationship will end. The person will get exhausted. Manipulating somebody's will is against the law. It is just so wrong. We don't do that. I don't do that. Laurie students don't do that. There are different ways that you can take the natural elements and use them through the ceremonial magic to send healing, to elevate your own life, to be happier, to be healthier, and to experience the way you want to experience your own life. So follow the Laurie's classes. I did dive in Dr. Joe Dispenza's techniques and courses. And for those of you who don't know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is, he's a researcher. He's a best-selling author. And one of my favorite books by him is Becoming Supernatural. Back in the day, Dr. Joe Dispenza, along with many other scientists, was featured in the movie that is called What the Bleep Do We Know? That movie is old now because a lot evolved in the science since that. It was in early, I think it's 2000, so it's about 23 years old, I guess. And a lot had changed, but that movie does explain the supernatural from the scientific point of view. Dr. Joe Dispenza was one of the guest speakers in that documentary. To another person, another scientist who was on What the Bleep Do We Know, who I followed after that, is Deann Radin. I will put all that in the description box below if you're curious what that is. He is studying the parapsychology phenomena, and he's an investigator. He's studying it and he's investigating it. He has a master's degree in electrical engineering and PhD in educational psychology. He worked as a researcher at Princeton University and the University of Edinburgh. I know that later on he started his own lab where he did experiments. One of his books is The Real Magic. I love that book. He goes in details and depth about his own studies of this phenomena, and it spoke to me so much. Another person, another doctor who played a role in my psychic development is Dr. Brian Weiss. He's those of you who don't know who Dr. Weiss is, I'm not saying his name. I think it might be Weiss, Dr. Weiss. He's an American psychiatrist, hypnotherapist, and he's an author of many books. He's specializing in past life regressions, of course. We have to talk about that. And one of my favorite books of his is Many Lives, Many Masters. I did read all of his books except one, I think, life-changing. I did a past life regression, and I had seen 2 lives, which was mind-blowing, interesting experience. Moving on to 2019, that is when I did a lot again of spiritual development, one of which was I took a Reiki course my yoga studio was offering, and I was like, well, why not? I said, why not? So I took a Reiki course. I went through all of 3 courses, obtaining the master's certificate. But one of the interesting things is that when I practiced Reiki, there's all of my psychic abilities for this boom, boom, boom was so amplified. They were so amplified, my psychic abilities. I could see in the person anything that is going on with their physical body. As I was going through the body, sending healing light, sending healing energy into that person, with my eyes closed, in my third eye, I would see the areas that needs healing. And after the session, the person would confirm that yes, they do have pain in that area. Or for an example, yes, they had a muscle stretching years ago in that area, and since then they have aches and pains. Again, it is so fascinating to me. I was mind blown about that by that particular experience. Moving on, the same year, I was hungry for knowledge. I was thirsty for wisdom, and I came across Light Workers Lab. For those of you who don't know what that is, it is founded by Crystalline Compton, who's a spiritual teacher. She's an intuitive, and she formed a really large online community for the Light Workers Lab. It is not called Light Shine Lab, but it is the same community. It was just renamed. She offered so many classes. She isn't doing it at this year in 2023. She's not doing it, but doesn't mean she wouldn't do it in the future years. I don't know. If you're interested, you can definitely look her up. I joined that community. I did take courses. Intuitive Intensive, I was mind blown by the energy of the whole experience. Crystalline Compton is so energetically charged. She's so strong. She's so powerful. She does have this ability to bring the energy and light into others and create an experience around her. I ended up going through Intuitive Intensive, Energy Intensive, Akashic Records course, and Mediumship Intensive. And I ended up being certified by that community, by the teachers. I am certified, which means I went and learned a lot of not just the techniques and strategies about giving readings to other people, but also the ethics, how to conduct the readings, how to talk, and so that it is in a proper way, deliver the messages, and only with the intention for a healing to a person. I do offer one-on-one readings up to date, online or in person. In person, I see people at the local shop, have to have it, which I love the owner and the energy of that shop. And for online, I do it via Zoom. And for online readings, people usually get a recording afterwards with the reading. So, and it is good for those who are out of state. I live in Massachusetts. And I didn't stop learning. I did continue learning, and I'm still in learning. I'm really curious person, but most recently I got in touch with Sasha Graham. For those of you who don't know who Sasha Graham is, she's a tarot expert. She's a best-selling author and teacher. She designed the Oracle deck cards. One of them is Darkwood Tarot. It's one of my favorite because she works on the shadows in the South, and a lot of healing through that comes. One of the things I didn't mention is the mediumship, which is another aspect I was really surprised about. I did not grow up seeing ghosts, thank goodness. I did not see the dead people as growing up. But what ended up happening during Intuitive Intensive course is that whenever I was doing readings for others in practices, their departed loved ones would come through, in addition to spirit guides, to archangels. The spirit guides, their departed loved ones, and those experiences have been so, and I've been so enlightened by those experiences that I did dive into mediumship. when I don't do mediumship sessions, I do just readings. But whenever during the reading the ancestors decide to come through, be present, I would always communicate that to the people that I'm working with. So going back to the Maria's divination cards, I decided that I couldn't find the cards on the market. What my grandmother taught, the meanings of the cards, what they mean, there was nowhere a deck that is available. I do own a few sets of the playing cards decks, but their meanings are not the same. So that was really bothering me, and I decided to create my own deck. So I took a deck that I created when I was in my high school or college years. I created my own deck based on my grandmother's divinations and interpretations of the cards. What I ended up doing back then, I used the tools I had. I had cardstock and I had a pile of magazines, old magazines. So what I did is I cut out the images from the magazines and I glued them on the cards, and so that they would have a meaning, symbology that was meaningful to me at that age. And then I took that and I created Maria's divination cards. The concept and idea were the same. I did use the artwork, the clips of artwork, but this time it was a digital artwork. So I took it and I put it together in a symbology and all the symbols on the card. So that is the back and that is the front. I will make more videos later on to talk in details about the cards, but this one is short. It's kind of to tell you what I am, who I am, where I come from, why I decided to create Maria's divination cards. I want to thank all and each of you who supported me on this journey. The cards will be coming into print, will be submitted into production on June 21st, 2023. I'm so excited. I'm in the final editing stages and then it's going to go into production. As soon as I receive the shipments, I will pack them out and send it to everyone who got a deck, who purchased it. I really appreciate you guys for the support. It means so much. I was blown away by the attention and I'm really grateful and really thankful. So stay tuned for more videos to come. I will send you an email, a notification. If you want, you can subscribe to my channel. I don't post a lot or at all. I haven't. That would be my first video, but it doesn't mean I wouldn't in the future. I will talk about the meaning of each suit of this deck. I will tell you the spreads, and who knows, maybe I'll post more videos if you are curious or interested in learning more. Well, thank you so much. I love you so much, all and each of you. Thank you.